Okay, afternoon everyone. Welcome to the first Telemedia News in 10. This is going to be a regular feature where myself, Jarvis, Todd, who's the publisher of Telemedia magazine and Telemedia Online, and has been looking after World Telemedia since the late 90s. Been working with Paul Skeldon over there. Say hi, Paul.
Hello from over here.
He's our esteemed editor and industry visionary. We've been working together. I suppose collectively, Paul, we've got 50 years between us of experience.
Yes, possibly even more. Yeah.
So the theory is that we should know one or two things about the industry. And what we thought we'd do was put together in 10 minutes a quick summary of all the exciting news that's come across our desks in the last 14 days, and just give everyone an opportunity to get a quick overview. If you missed it, then you can obviously go back and find some of the stuff that we're talking about online or on our LinkedIn feed. So without further ado, the first topic that really sort of struck us was three things really in terms of stories that all highlighted how DCB is on the march and is in fact more compelling than ever. So do you want to talk us through the three stories you picked out on that, Paul?
Well, yes, it's just sort of as the lockdown has progressed and people have been stuck at home. We've seen a lot of people turning to online shopping and mobile shopping and using their mobiles even more than they were before for entertainment. It's sort of started to drive a bit of growth in terms of carrier billing usage. The reason being that people want instant access, they want to sort of pay for things, instant gratification. And in many countries outside of the UK, it's quite difficult to do that unless you're pre-registered and all the rest of it. And they've been turning to carrier billing to sort of quickly buy access to all sorts of entertainment content and entertainment services and dating and all the things people do on their mobile. It's now sort of being done on steroids, and it's leading to a growth in the use of carrier billing. A growth was happening anyway, but we're seeing that, like we have with everything digital over the lockdown, it's all been accelerated. And as someone said to me the other day, it's by the end of this year, we'll be in 2025. In terms of where technology and consumer habits and how we live our lives is going to be. So yes, we've been covering this throughout the lockdown. Several studies have come out from Mobile Squared in association with PM Connect, and Juniper have done some stuff on it as well, and it's just showing some interesting figures as to where this is all going. So we're looking at seeing carrier billing sort of up there as a $28 billion revenue generated by 2023 is Mobile Squared's view. I suspect it might well be sooner than that, the rate we're going. And it's going to be used by sort of 1.5 billion people. That's
that's a lot of people.
Half the number of mobile phones out there, I guess. So yeah, and it's growing everywhere across Europe and the UK, Eastern Europe, Africa. Unsurprisingly, perhaps it's going to be really massive growth area for it. It's already very prevalent. Carrier billing and M-Pesa are both really how people pay for everything out there. But that's going to grow.
Pick up on that for a second, because one of the issues with why we're only scratching the surface potentially particularly in Europe has been this idea that there isn't a kind of unified presentation of the technology, so that the consumers either don't know, don't get it, don't have the sort of trust that they might get if it was being presented by their operator as being something that they could use. And this is something that comes up in the conferences quite a lot, and I think that the point was made that because in Africa it's actually the only recognized, or it is a single recognized mobile payment mechanism that therefore everybody uses. And as a result of that, the stats really back that up, that the numbers in Africa in terms of percentages are really exciting, aren't they?
They are, yeah, and I think this is the thing that's missing from the whole kind of mobile content ecosystem. There isn't a sort of single recognized way of paying, and I think the carriers need to not only push the idea of carrier billing, but also need to do that in a kind of unified way, so that it's the same idea, same brand name, however you want to look at it, across all network operators.
I must just pick up, because we're going to have to move on in a minute, but just quickly, there was a really interesting thread on LinkedIn which relates directly to that, which was put out by DOCOMO, a few weeks, or no, I think last week, and it caused a furore. There were comments flying in everywhere, and a good friend of ours, John Barros, who's a US FinClude dude, absolutely steamed in. I don't think he was particularly picking on DOCOMO, but he steamed in on the industry as a whole. And I just want to read out a quick quote from him, and anyone can go and check out his thread there. But he said, in recent years, when a need arose for DCB providers to repair, improve, safeguard, police the DCB industry's reputation, there was no willingness by these DCB providers to cooperate to address the problems via better DCB industry self-policing. So I'm going to pick this up with John, and I think we should get him on and get the DCB guys to kind of come back at him on that one. But I think that, for me, that was kind of a very old school view, and my experience of working directly with the leading DCB providers, it does not reflect that in terms of their approach to the industry and in terms of their approach to the technology. And I think that it would be interesting I think we should give them a right to reply on that one, because he goes on and I think he certainly, is desperate for mobile payments, particularly in his sector, to come to the fore. But there is this kind of legacy issue that I think everybody needs to be aware of and face up to. But I think we would probably agree that with each new success story, I think that the problems of the past are perhaps moving away. It's not to say there isn't still fraud, but I don't think that's the mentality of the industry right now in terms of how important it is to be seen as a trusted and safe provider, because that's one of the key selling points, right?
I think so, yeah. I think also, there's a lot of younger people out there who don't have the sort of view and association that carrier billing might have with some of us more sort of mature members of society. Speaking just for myself, obviously, Jar.
Exactly.
But I think, as it starts to find its use cases, I mean, there's so many, this whole idea, I mean, it's happened to me so many times. I don't want to buy an annual subscription to watch, Sky Sports, but every now and again I might want to watch even just the highlights of the UEFA Cup final or whatever. I'd be prepared to stick that on my phone bill so I could watch it on my phone, with the kids and just enjoy it. And there's all these opportunities for it out there, just begging to be taken up. And I think possibly part of the change we're going to see in how people live and what business does to help consumers, post-pandemic, is going to hopefully involve DCB becoming a much more widespread and easy to use and publicised sort of way of paying. Which is why incidentally we're doing our Mythbusters series of white papers looking at how carrier billing works in a whole range of verticals. So look out for those that are coming out. I think we're coming out very soon with the first one.
Absolutely, and we'll talk about that probably next week, I think. So, but we've just been shown the clock, so we've got to race on. The second story, very exciting. Acquisition time.
Yes.
The mighty digital Virgo acquires DOCOMO Digital Solutions, and we heard from this. I didn't realise just how big digital Virgo are. They're huge. They're a major player.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are surprisingly huge, as you say.
And no less than 15 acquisitions in 10 years. That's quite impressive.
Yeah, that's quite impressive, and they're really going for it, and they're really going for this sort of digital sort of monetization area. I mean, what surprises me about it is that the NTT DOCOMO sold it in the first place, but I guess they're looking to focus in on other things. I can't really find a sort of clear reason why NTT has got rid of it, but their loss is digital Virgo's gain. I think it really does. I think give them a massive leg up in this market. They're going to become, I think, a really big sort of name in the digital payments bit, particularly again around this sort of growth in digital entertainment and digital services that we've seen during lockdown.
Well, I spoke to Emily Roussel, who was based in Lyon, and we spent much of the time talking about how great the food is there. But she sort of made the point to me that whilst they are primarily sort of focused on consulting and focused on helping brands and merchants monetize content, the reason, they do offer payment services, and but their view has always been that they're payment agnostic, which kind of makes sense, I suppose. But then my the question mark I had was, well, you know, if you're still offering payment services, then surely somewhere down the line you're going to come up against DOCOMO, right? So we'll have to see whether or not that, you know, transpires. But it was quite interesting, Paul. I also got a press release from the global marketing director, and if I can just quote it, the explanation was, DOCOMO recently highlighted the growth strength of financial services in Japan. NTT DOCOMO's payment ecosystem, including direct carrier billing, e-wallet, credit card, and loyalty programs, grew at a healthy rate last year. Our payments business aligns well with our parents' overall long-term strategy, and we are well positioned to complement this growth outside of Japan. So from here, we will have an ever greater focus on growing our payments footprint to APMs beyond our core competence in DCB. Now, I don't know about you, so basically what they're saying is, you know, they are a network, and they are going to think of themselves more as a pure payment provider, almost like a financial services company. So that's, you know, that is obviously a move away from the sort of content focus. But what really fascinated me about that was bearing in mind that, you know, and I don't know whether or not I'm just getting slow, but in 20 years, do you know what an APM is?
Something payment merchant, I imagine.
So I googled it, and apparently it's adult psychiatric morbidity survey. So if anyone can help, it's because I got the general gist of it, but honestly, the APM bit, that had me, and I was hoping you might be able to.
I'll tell you what I think. What I think is interesting is that they are going from being a DCB provider to adding all these other ways to pay. Which, if you look at it the other way around, is that carrier billing is now considered an accepted part of the range of payment options that a company like Digital Virgo wants to offer, particularly on a sort of local basis. So again, more of carrier billing creeping into everywhere. Right, we've got 1 minute and 30 seconds to.
Okay, right. So very quickly, we then have to move on to the
voice traffic has seen a massive boom over the lockdown. We're back to people picking up the phone and ringing, and part of the reason is that they don't want to keep looking at their ugly faces while they're talking to other people. So while we've all gone fantastic, people are actually wanting to make phone calls. That and the fact that the internet is now so shonky because everyone is doing this, that it's actually easier now to pick up a phone and make a phone call. So
just to back that up, I mean, again, on LinkedIn, it caused there was lots and lots of interaction on the comments that from the comments that we put up as a result of the story, and it did seem that an awful lot of people were sort of sick of relying on IP and had absolutely resorted to picking up the phone. And you know, the question is, will that trend continue? Probably unlikely. But one of the really interesting things about it was it's also linked into a conversation we had about RCS and, you know, reliability of network. And of course, we had a number of comments from some of the MNOs saying you're absolutely right. The reason why, you know, you can rely on this is because we've been doing it for years, and that you know, unfortunately, if you're going to rely on a IP network, you know, as soon as traffic gets to certain levels, they're not used to unblocking the system. So if you want to see services get delivered to customers, you know, RTS being one that I'm sure we'll talk about in the near future, then your voice networks is there, and it's reliable, and you can trust it.
Yeah, and 5G, of course, when 5G comes in, you know, will it be much easier, quicker, and better to do your zooming over 5G than it is over traditional, you know, internet networks and IP? So, you know, interesting. I think it is. Apparently, according to psychologists, it takes 66 days to form a new habit. So people have had more than 66 days of doing this during lockdown. I think, you know, some of this increased use will continue. A good old-fashioned voice thing, but I think also it plays in well to 5G becoming, you know, it's where 5G and where the mobile network operators can suddenly be part of the real kind of wider internet conversation. We'll be using 5G to do this in a couple of years' time. I wouldn't wonder.
We're seeing that getting referenced all the time now, aren't we?
everywhere. Yeah, 5G's. Yeah, it's really sort of taken off. That, of course, the fact that now we finally know that you can't catch coronavirus from Chinese 5G network infrastructure. I think we can conclusively say that it's safe from that point of view.
All from the mail.
Oh yes, and finally, I think you have some interesting statistics from what people really want to read.
Yeah, well, there was a couple of things that really just struck us. We've started to really put some emphasis on getting the Telemedia Viewpoint initiative out into market, which basically involves us interviewing either you doing it face to face or us doing it, using a sort of written questionnaire that we work on with the clients. And we've started to put these out quite regularly now, and they are getting huge traction, particularly as a result of the LinkedIn work we do. And on the 27th of May, we did an interview with Valentina Tranquilli, who is the top lady at Cookies Factory, another absolutely brilliant company. And we recorded a record over 4,000 views. And that happened within about 3 or 4 days. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I mean, I think the first thing was that she's a very, very experienced player in the market, and she was really willing, surprisingly so, I think, to be pretty honest and to actually deliver some interesting and genuine information. Whereas, there's often a tendency to be a bit guarded. And so she talked to us about, which markets are really hot, why they're hot, what the sort of fundamental aspects of those markets make them so important, how you can assess a particular market, understanding the cultural differences, but also then explaining, what's selling, what's hot. And it was just a really good, comprehensive, well constructed and useful piece of information, and a very entertaining interview.
Great, a really insightful interview, actually. It's one, a really good one, actually. She really,
and just let me say, one of the funniest things was that she came up with, you write the questions and you go off into the sort of more personal stuff. And right at the end, she came up with a brilliant quote, and she said that what we really need to do in this business is stop talking and start working. And I thought that was a lesson. And she said, I always have in mind this quote when often many entrepreneurs forget. And the quote goes, you need a commitment strategy, not an exit strategy.
Like it.
And when you have two people that have been working in the same business for 25 years, I mean, I don't think we have ever thought about having an exit strategy, clearly, but it might apply to other people.
No, they'll be carrying me out in a box. Is the only way I'm off. But I think we've overstretched our 10 minutes, and I think to live out what she says, we should stop talking and start working.
I'm off.
So, no more talking. Back to work, everybody. See you next time.